noise pollution.
Okay,
If it interferes, if it interferes,
who's going to enforce that?
However, dispute resolution organizations, DROs, covenant communities. There's an entire list of things that could be dealt with. See, how it happens is in a voluntarist society, it's not just.
But Louis was there before you set up your voluntarist society.
Right. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So you can just impose your will over him.
No, we're not imposing will. What I'm saying is, if you have your Beamer's answer. If you have your private property, right, and he's playing his music and it's violating your private property rights, right, and it's interfering sound pollution, it's a thing, okay, fine. We all agree with that here. It's not a big issue. So what would be the difference between a voluntarist society at that point and our society right now? Our society right now, cops would show up, knock, 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 hey, lower your music, you're going to get a fine, right? Okay, so voluntarist society, same thing. Hey, listen, the only difference would be...
There's no fine. There's no threat to actually stop.
Hold on. Right, exactly. Well,
so
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. And there would be, because you have to understand that in a voluntarist society, because there aren't governing structures, everybody is going to be... we're going to be connected through association and through self-interest. So... let's say, for example, in our community or in our area, our great state, right? You also have, let's say, car insurance or security, whatever things for your services for your home. If there's a DRO, that there's this organization that's going to keep track and record this, and then say, oh, do you know what? Louis continues to play his music, and he's violating other people's rights. Let's go and let the other people that we're networking with, that he doesn't want to reciprocate rights. So then you're going to be contracted out of rights reciprocation for all of those other things. So maybe you're not going to be able to get those services for your house. You're not going to get those securities. Nobody's going to want to work with you. You understand? It's very simple.
So you're telling me the fire department won't show up if his music is playing too loud?
No, what's going to happen is, this is a great thing. They may or may not. There might be a fire department that says, hey, look, we'll show up no matter what, but they're going to have to pay. He's going to have to either pay them or whatever else, right? But the idea is that if he wants to get a timely fire department, right? Most people, like we all just agreed.
Damn, is she stupid?
That are going to over your property and says, no, now you exist under my rules. I don't acquiesce to your authority. I don't want to go with you. Now I'm the one in charge, and he has power.
What if the hypothetical?
I have an honest question.
What if we steal his music? Like, can we just borrow his music and steal it and then give it back the next day? Like,
I just want to say that instead of a bukkake where you all just sort of jerk off in the direction of the one person who disagrees with you, why don't you just run a train on the argument? One at a fucking time. It's not that hard.
I'll have to get approval.
Not that fucking hard.
First.
Okay. Now Chase gang. Chastity is life. And we're all dying.
Tally, to be fair, we have the brain power.
Hold your loins.
Please do not masturbate in the roller coaster.
Nathan, do you want to go first, and then I'll go?
No, you can go ahead, Chaos. I was strong. Go ahead, bro.
Thank you, Nathan. So, Bima, I have an honest question, right? I do understand your argument. I do understand that because it helps with the network of people relying on each other. Let's just say, for instance, right? What if Louis is the grocery store owner, and he happens to control the grocery store chain in your neighborhood? Are you do you not think that it'll behoove you to not be in partnership with them and let them excuse all those infractions?
No.
Well,
that doesn't make sense.
I mean, no, that doesn't make sense.
No, that makes absolute sense.
So you're saying, hold on, wait, Chaos.
No, he is a big piece in the economy of your community, and if you alienate this guy, he will extract all of his contributions to society.
Or deny you.
No, because that's his business, and a businessman isn't going to do that.
Right, exactly.
So just talking about me.
He's not going to keep down the
Remember, this is a libertarian society, so they're not like it's free, unfettered, everything.
Well, Louis, you could deny your rights on an individual basis.
It's social programs.
Exactly,
right?
you're stupid.
It's to actually provide for a society that's productive. So then you get rid of roadblocks that have prevented people for thousands of years of succeeding. Like you're trying to give everybody
free to them.
No,
yeah, it's equal opportunity.
There's an issue though, right? Okay, like here's the thing, right? Like the water flows from a higher point to a lower point. That always happens to be the case, even in like social statuses. Like I don't think like our current government is artificial. Like I think if you want the natural flow of things, there's always going to be power that like goes from the top to the bottom. And I think what I'm trying to do is like I'm framing the situation in such a way that Louis has naturally accumulated the power based on the way society operates. Like it's not like I don't think like if you want to like have a discussion of like this is going to be equality in power.
Okay, but you have to understand power then. Like I don't need someone to tell me I have power to like start the Black Plague and destroy the world. Like I have the power any moment of the day, any second I step inside. No, I'm not capping, bro. Even Jesus had the power.
No, maybe
Even
there's like
Jesus
this
had the power.
translation issue here. He said, go ahead, Kev.
So, like for instance, right? Like
Tracking. He said tracking.
Yeah, he's not tracking. Yeah, you're not tracking.
Tracking.
Yeah. So I understand. Like I completely understand where you're coming from, AK. But I think my point is being lost because what I'm saying.
Somebody said, "Don't be bullied by this troll." I said,
like,
"Don't waste your time here with these
what
stupid
if Louis
morons."
is a fire department chief? Like he manages the fire department. What happens then? Like the fire department is like run. Like are you gonna like create a separate fire department? Is that what?
This is easy.
Master said it. There's another fire department you can subscribe to.
If somebody is responsible for a tremendous amount of resources, but is also acting in an antisocial fashion, there is nothing stopping someone else from filling that void. That's why competition exists. That's why you have the choice to vote with your dollars. If I don't want to pay for that particular grocery store's services as a result of the owner's behavior, then I can choose not to, and there's nothing preventing someone from
But there is no
vacuum
points chillism. It's random word hypnosis.
Immediate solution, not necessarily. Will there be some
Stupid.
discomfort, some suffering? Yes, but people when they're making these claims for agorism and voluntarism, they're not suggesting that there's going to be zero flaws in the system. There will be flaws in the system as there is with the one we have now. The differentiation is the voluntary participation in said system. The government is not going to come and they're not going to drag you off for not paying your tax bill.
So then it's just a levy. So then how? So Stilgar, take that same principle. How do you pay collectively for a force to enforce the rules, such as evicting you from your land, such as keeping out bad elements, such as protecting your property, such as enforcing a new grocer to have the ability without direct theft and competition? Where is the peace stabilization if you are not going to levy, quote, a tax? And then if you're going to say, hey, we're going to combine our funds, and this will just work utopia, because the way you're stating it actually provides logic to it. It acknowledges the inherent flaws of it. Bima's just saying, no, that wouldn't happen because we just had this great moral utopia. And she doesn't know how to articulate that argument. And that's why she's getting the pushback. But you, stating that tax and knowing that, then saying, what is the penalty for that tax? Are you going to flog them?
It's not a tax. There is no tax in the voluntarist or agorist or ANCAP's utopia. There is voluntary participation. If you want security, if there's a demand for that security, then there will likely be a supply because people want to identify ways of making means for themselves. So you pay for that security, you pay for that food, you pay for that activity, you pay for that participation in a private community or whatever the case might be.
This means also no public roads, no public schools. This like
I was gonna say, children is where this stuff always falls apart because how do you protect a child from child abuse? They're not subscribed, right?
Yeah, another question, Stilgar. Like, what if I voluntarily didn't want the fire services, but my house burns down? Is the community not gonna help the guy who's in need because he didn't opt in for that service?
In our system,
it depends on that person's relationship with the community, and it depends on whether or not people care to rally around that individual. I mean, these sort of things happen in our real life. This happens. There's private organizations, and there's, this happens.
Yeah, there have been private fire departments that if you miss your bill and your house is on fire, they'll show up and make sure that the fire doesn't spread to every other house that's on the payment plan, and they will and they will watch your house burn.
That's true. We just witnessed that in California because that's what basically private firefighting agencies are, and they exist. They're profitable. You should look into them. If you're looking for side work, it's good money to make during fire season. However, but the idea that somehow you're going to let that burn, and because that person didn't opt in for those services, you're going to, and if multiple people didn't opt in for those services, let's say you haven't had a fire in 5 years, and the people are saying, you know what? I don't really need this. I'm paying for something that I'm not really using. We haven't seen it. So I'm going to opt out, and the vast majority decide to opt out. You have to still have an enforcement mechanism in place to have people that are ready, willing, and able.
Monitor this around worst. What an anger.
You do, because otherwise the fire gets out of control and will hit people that pay.
That happens around the world. Look, there's no government agency that comes and demands that I get an oil change in my car. If I spin a rod bearing and seize my engine on my own, it's up to me. It's my own personal responsibility.
No, you're excited. Okay, Tom. It's okay. You're okay. No barking. No.
The difference is...
Yeah, good listening. Sorry, my bad. My dog's crazy.
So you don't have to, and there's going to be cases, and thank you, Stilgar, for articulating it, because I couldn't articulate it myself, right? So everybody, thank you, Stilgar. The idea is you don't have to. There's going to be different fire departments that they're like, it's basic Econ 101.
We go again.
Supply and demand, there will be, if the demand, if a great enough amount of people aren't going to want to provide a monthly service fee or whatever else, it's just going to be on a basis, an on-demand basis, which is
Econ principles don't actually align with what you're stating. If nobody's paying,
They do, but have we talked about the tragedy of the commons?
Can I just hold on.
Stay to the argument.
Hold on.
Chaos, you heard me, right?
Hold on. You just said to me.
I'm stating that if the majority of people decide, hey, we haven't had a fire in 5 years, I'm not paying for a fire service, and you turned around and said, well, actually, what will happen is basic economy. More firehouses will start. If people aren't paying for a fire service, more fucking businesses that are going to put out fires is not going to develop because why? There's no fucking profit in it.
This is true.
Yeah, and that's a natural demand.
It's called the tragedy of the commons. It's called the tragedy of the commons. Raise your hand if you're familiar with it.
No.
Chaos.
The point is, if there was, like I said, if there's going to be demand, it's going to be there. You said, that's not how it exists. It doesn't. No, it is. We don't pay a monthly or a yearly service fee for plumbing or electrical or roofing or pest control or landscaping, right? I mean,
it's a good thing too, because if just one person doesn't pay for it, then shit will pile up and everybody dies of cholera.
Hold on. Chaos. The government pays for our plumbing services and the electrical services and the roofing services and pest control and appliance repair and gutter service and septic. No. Those are on demand services. Painting companies, flooring companies.
Won't work is because people don't have the self-control or the responsibility or the brain power.
Called the tragedy of the commons. Yes, it's an identified part of economics.
Wait. So, to Dewey's point, right? I do want to make this statement. To Dewey's point, we did have this before. There were people who are business owners who had industrial plants. They had their own private fire stations. What happened was they only engaged with the business owner. What we realized was that it's not good for society to operate that way. When